Hey guys, today I want to talk about Google, kind of in general, how the company is working to collect your information, and just kind of the general issue I have with Google collecting information about literally everything you're doing. So, first of all, how does Google do this? So, they track you on the internet, so when you're browsing on your computer or on your smartphone, just browsing the internet. They're collecting your information from websites that use analytics, Google Analytics. So they track you that way. They track you on your devices, especially if you're using something like an Android device, where Google actually provides the operating system you're using. They can collect information about one, how you use the operating system, and then just embedding their tracking technology into the operating system to follow the location of that device, or whatever it may be. And then finally, kind of a newer way that Google is tracking people is through the use of Internet of Things devices, so like Google Home devices, or whatever it may be, anything that Google powers, like a smart speaker. They're collecting information about you in your home, or maybe at work, wherever you use those devices. So how does Google collect this information about you? First of all, they use analytics, and any website that has Google Analytics installed to collect information about you, Google can use that information as well. It's not isolated to just that website or company that's using analytics. And then if Google's unable to do that level of tracking, Google also has partnerships with other tech companies that it can use to collect information about its users. So even if, let's say you're using Twitter or something, and Google has a partnership with Twitter, they may be able to track you using your Twitter account or whatever other account you're using that Google is partnered with. And then on top of that, if Google's unable to get, say, your phone number or other, like, address, home address maybe, Google will buy that information from another company that is in the data aggregation business or data collection, like maybe a credit reporting agency or something like that. And then another way that Google tracks you on the internet is with their use of their cloud services. So if a business that you interact with is using Google Cloud services to operate their servers, Google can access the information within those servers, unless the company has implemented some security measures that encrypts the data on their servers or whatever. But the fact that Google controls many of these large companies and businesses, their data stores, gives them even more power and more access to that information. And then across your devices, Google has been found to be collecting information about users' locations on Android devices, even if they've turned off the location setting that says, yeah, you can track my location, because you may have opted in on, say, Gmail or Google Hangouts or Google Maps on another app that allows Google to track your location. So Google's very interested in this information on a device level, because that gives them information about what you're doing right now or where you are right now. And since Google is in the industry of contextual advertising through Google AdWords or AdSense or whatever, they want that information about what you're doing right now, how you're behaving, where you're going, where you're shopping, where you're spending your money, because that allows them to target you with ads for businesses or products that you're maybe driving past or that you're likely to go to. Google really wants that contextual information. So another thing that you should be aware of is Google's partnership with companies that provide credit cards. So Google can access their databases of where you're spending your money, so that Google can use that information to advertise similar products or to retarget you once you've spent your money with a certain business. And that's kind of concerning, because if Google's able to understand where you've spent your money on a minute-to-minute basis, they can allow advertisers to target you so specifically that they actually begin to be able to influence your behavior. And while that may not seem realistic right now, in 5 to 10 years, when artificial intelligence and other things improve so much that Google's able to predict your behavior with a very high degree of accuracy, that gives Google the power to literally control a large population, which I'm concerned about. And what I'm kind of hoping to do on this YouTube channel, which I hope you subscribe to, is to kind of promote the idea that just because Google is the largest and most powerful company doesn't mean that their products are the best for the end user. They might be the best for Google. They're able to make a lot of money off of each user. That doesn't mean that we should just accept that Google's the only company out there. And then finally, Google's also able to do what's called fingerprinting, which is another issue that I'll make a video about later. But what it is rather than like tracking your device, so let's say you've logged out of Chrome and you've logged out of your Google account on a certain device, Google may still be able to identify you based on other characteristics about that device. So even though you might assume, well, I'm using a 15-inch MacBook Pro or whatever, there's other ways that Google can narrow down who you are. So maybe what version of the operating system you use. So if you haven't updated your operating system in 2 years, Google can see that. And then if they see that you're using, let's say you use Firefox as your browser, they can see that information. So they go, okay, this guy's on a 15-inch MacBook Pro, connected to company Wi-Fi. Their operating system is version whatever, haven't updated in a long time, and then they're typing. Fingerprinting is so specific because Google's able to collect all this information. They can tell how you type and certain characteristics about how you use your device, what size your window is, and things like that. They can allow them to narrow down your identity, even if they don't have a specific advertising ID on you yet. They can narrow down to figure out your demographic information and stuff. So those are just some things you should think about if you're using Google. I have a few videos about alternatives to Google that I definitely recommend you trying out, like DuckDuckGo and other private search engines, and then other alternatives to Google products that can at least minimize the footprint you leave on Google and minimize the information that you share with Google to keep them from being able to control you in the future. And even though it may seem crazy right now, we'll see how it looks in 5 to 10 years when Google's improved their technology even more and expanded their influence into even more sections of our lives. So thanks for watching, and like this video if you got something from it. Thanks.